What is it exactly do you want from white people?
What do you want? Answer the question. What do you want?
I'm trying to find out what you want.
What's your nationality?
Hello friends, welcome to Look and Live. You are now here with Pastor James DeVallon, and this is The Perspective. Today, I have Jessie Lee Peterson back on the Look and Live channel with the following state. This video entitled is, Jessie Lee is exposing lying about racism. White cops, Jasmine, Abdullah. Okay, friends, this is a good one. I haven't done a Jessie in a while. He has a way of interviewing people to the point where he kind of has them telling on themselves, and sometimes his questions are okay. Jessie is something else. I have my likes and dislikes when it comes to Jessie, but he is definitely someone worth listening to. Without further ado, let's get into the heart of the message here.
Welcome to the Fallen State TV. I am Jessie Lee Peterson. Thank you so much for being with me. I absolutely appreciate it. I did a YouTube video, a commentary on Beyonce during the halftime of the Super Bowl. It was one of the most evil things I've seen happen in a public way. And I received a phone call from the Black Student Union at Trade Tech College here in Los Angeles, wanting to talk with me about my YouTube video. I have with me tonight Andre Shirley. Also, Michelle Watson is here. We want to have an open and honest discussion about Beyonce and the whole race issue. Andre goes to school at Trade Tech, and Michelle is a community activist. Do you work with Black Lives Matter or the Black Student Union, or both?
Both.
Both?
Both, and also the Los Angeles Black Workers Center.
Oh, okay. What do you guys disagree with me about?
Let's go down the list. Well, let's start off with how you described Beyonce and her performance. When you said that white people should have gotten up and walked away.
Why? Why is that a problem?
Race relations is something that needs to be talked about. It needs to be addressed. It has held this country back and held my people back for far too long. And until we can, as a society, sit down and understand what's plaguing us, we will never be able to move forward.
Oh boy.
Ever.
But she wasn't talking about it at the football game.
No, she was bringing attention to the fact that there is lack of value on Black lives here in America.
Most people when they go to the Super Bowl, they're taking their families, their kids are with them.
Yes.
They want to go there and just have fun. They don't want to hear Black people complaining about so-called racism at a football game. If Beyonce wanted to talk about it, she should have called together a meeting and say, hey, I'd like to bring everybody together and let's have a discussion about so-called racism in America.
Racism is not private.
We asked for this conversation. How many times have we asked for a conversation about race relations? I have a dream that one day my children will be judged by the content of
Black people have been talking about racism for 50 years or so.
Did Harriet Tubman have to constantly go back for a conversation? We are at a point in society where us as young people, we're tired of seeing it. We're tired of hearing. I'm tired of walking down the street in my hoodie and being afraid because I just saw a police officer. Not being afraid because there's some people down on the corner that I don't know. Not being afraid because my next door neighbor is always in his garage. I don't know what he's doing. But being afraid because the people who are charged to protect and serve my life, people who are taking my tax dollars to have a job to protect and serve my life. So tell me about
Beyonce. Let me ask you about Beyonce. Beyonce is 34 years old.
Yes.
She's married.
Yes.
She has a daughter.
Yes.
And first of all, she out doing this booty dance, half naked, dressed in black, looking like a thug. Is that a good example for, and I'll ask you this, Michelle, is that a good example for other young girls?
I like what Jessie Peterson just did here. He did not affirm nor ratify any of their statements where they were that young man was taking on this victim mentality. So he kind of like bypassed all of that and got to the heart of the message, you know? So he kind of like wanted to address the real elephant in the room. Is Beyonce a proper example for Black people to follow? These are the questions that we really need to kind of worry about. While we talking about police is out to get us, we are so adamant about racism coming from cops and Caucasian folks. The real racist is happening among us. The real people that are destroying the blacks are blacks. So I like the fact he just got right into the heart of this.
And should a married mother act that way in public?
Good
Beyonce
question.
is a woman, and women have sexuality and femininity, right? And so that's where the style comes from. If it's okay with her husband, then it's no one should ever have anything to say.
What? You see, this is the problem with us as a culture. We refuse to acknowledge that there is something wrong in the fabric of how some of these video girls or these musicians are entertainers. We act as if the way that they act, the way they behave, the Cardi B's, the McStallion, and the Nicki Minaj's of our time, the Beyoncé's of our time, we act as if this is a normal way for female to represent themselves, right? To express themselves. That's called independent woman. That's called empowerment. And I'm here to say that's actually the very opposite of empowerment. That is prostitution. That is confusion. That is sexuality. That is carnality. And it is perversion. It doesn't work to build the race at all. We can lie all we want about Beyonce. I have no issue with Beyonce as a person, but she does not properly represent Black people on the screen. Okay, she does not do that. And being a married woman with children who are setting example before our daughters, she could do a much better job than this.
An example for other young girls to see an older woman acting that way.
Yes.
That is a good example.
Yes, because that's not their status. They know they're from a baby, a child, a little girl,
crazy,
a teenager. They're not a woman, right? And they know that. But just because they see a woman in its full manifestation doesn't mean that it'll negatively affect them.
What? She is living in a deception. Like, obviously this is a young girl, obviously, who may be a fan of Beyonce, and if you are a fan of Beyonce, it is what it is. You have the right to be whoever you want to follow and believe and follow them. But one thing you're not gonna do is to act as if their influence on young women is something positive. You tell me how many young women can come out here and say, I am what I am who I am, I've gotten my education, I've cleaned up my life, I came out of jail, I came out of prison, I no more drugs because of Beyonce. Like, really? Like, I want to meet those women. I haven't seen any of them. Listen, here is David for you. I will behave myself wisely in a perfect way. When thou wilt come unto me, I will walk within my house with a perfect heart. I will set no wicked things before mine eyes, and I hate the work of them that turn aside. Listen to the next few words. It shall not cleave to me. So in essence, David said, I ain't gonna be following these wicked evil doers because it has the power to cleave to me. So their influence can stick with you. That's the point. So David says, stop watching that. I'm not watching that. I'm going to stay away from that. I'm not going to keep watching them as an example because they are, their influence is going to cleave unto me. Their behavior, I'm going to pattern my life after theirs. So the best thing to do is to keep away from that. So when she's saying that what Beyonce does doesn't impact the Black race, this young girl has no idea what she's talking about.
Like your mother out doing the hoochie mama dance, half naked.
Hoochie mama dance.
Where the world is looking at her.
Yeah, good question.
I'm entitled to a good time.
Yeah, is that
Would
so?
you want your mother to do that? Hold on a minute. Would you want your mother to
Not my beautiful mother. He said I would. And that's the problem with the black race right here. He just got to the heart of our issues. Immorality is our problem. It's really what it's not racism. Racism has a place and we can talk about that, but it's not the most important thing that we are wrestling with as a culture, as black people. Most degrading issue is the fact that we justify evil among ourselves, and we glorify the drug dealer, and we condemns the government for going after the drug lords. So the issue is that the women who are stripping and prostituting themselves, we look at them and say, this is a good example of women power, and that's exactly where we fail right there.
To have fun in a black dress on national television.
half naked doing the hoochie mama dance?
She was not half naked.
Yes, you are. But you didn't answer the question. Would you want your mother doing that?
Depends on how old she is. Yeah,
Yeah,
it does.
that's a joke.
In my opinion, so heck,
So would you want your 34-year-old mother doing that?
why not? Like I said, everyone is entitled to their expression of themselves.
Is that a
She's
yes
not
or no?
just yes. It's a yes.
That's a yes?
It's a yes.
You would want your mother doing that?
It's a yes. My 34-year-old mother, yes. It's in the self-expression.
What is it that she's trying to express?
She's trying to express, for one, the powerfulness of the black woman. And
That is not powerful. That is actually weakness. Why do we keep saying this? It's not power for a woman to express herself in the most pervertive way, in the most sexual way, in the most promiscuous way. That's not powerful. Real power is self-restraint. Real power is beauty that is contained primarily within. Real power is not opening yourself to the world and allowing people to see what your husband alone should be seeing. That's not power. And why do we keep saying that? That's not power. That's weakness.
the black movement.
But that's
and
not
how
power
she's in
to go out
solidarity.
and hoochie mama dance half naked. That's not power in that.
And there's
That's
no.
weakness.
Hey, there we
They're
go.
doing that in bars and clubs.
There we go.
Right.
There we
What do you
go.
think?
Showing one's physical beauty
Dance
is a weakness.
is a part of art.
But not half naked in the public. Let me ask this. Beyonce promoted Black Lives Matter. We all know that Black Lives Matter is an agitated, evil group of people who could care less about black people.
We do not.
She
all
also,
know that.
let me finish,
I'm
and then
not
I'll let you
saying that
respond.
can
She
we not establish
also
that as a
promoted,
fact, though?
hold on, I'll let you respond. She also promoted the Black Panther Party, and we know that Black Panthers promoted killing cops, and they killed at least 2 police officers that I'm aware of. And in Chicago, black people were afraid of the Black Panthers during those days because they were so radical. She also promoted Malcolm X at a Super Bowl game. And you guys are okay with that, right?
Yes.
Okay, so let me ask this then.
Promote my people.
Next year, I'm asking the KKK to go and perform a cross burning, dressed in hoods, white sheets and hoods at the Super Bowl halftime. Are you okay with that too?
We live in America where you have freedom of speech. If that's the idiocracy you want to promote, then
So you would be
you'll
okay
feel
with
free
that,
to
right?
do that. I would personally be a part of the crowd that's protesting it. As you said, white
But
people
should-
should have gotten up and walked out on Beyonce and
True.
Lamar's performances.
Good point.
I would be that black person that would bring that protest to your front door
Why?
and ask you
Why? If,
how
if
as
Beyonce
a black
can promote-
person could you promote an organization that judged your ancestors on the color of their skin and not the content of their character, never even asked them a simple question, but because they were solely black, put them in chains and make them work on a field. And
The
these are the
KKK
people
didn't do
you-
that.
the KKK.
I think Peterson just hit a spot here because I'm seeing the gram on his face. You could tell he's not too happy with that question, but that's actually correct because, the black race do this all the time. They do this all the time, and they promote their ideology and they promote their perversion. They scream out racism. They call white people all types of names. But that's okay. But when it is done by the whites in our time today, we just go crazy. It's like you gotta be fair to the system here. If you can use and voice your opinion however you want, why can't they do the same either? I know he's using an extreme analogy here, but he's actually helping them to realize that in their approach to supposedly express themselves, that it is somewhat rooted in racism. And it is true.
Is a terrorist group, and it's the longest standing
And
terrorist
so is Black
group
Lives Matter.
in Los Angeles. Black Lives Matter is not a terrorist group.
So let me ask.
Black Lives Matter is simply an affirmation to black people that we matter, because we don't see it enough in our community. Nobody tells us, not even our parents sometimes, that we matter. So when we say Black Lives Matter, it's not saying that you don't matter. It's not saying that we matter more than somebody else. It's saying that we matter, and I can tell myself that I matter, just like I can.
If you have to keep telling yourself that, there's something wrong with your ideology, because you need an organization to affirm that you matter. You've lost your identity, because and that's not good for us as a people. If we have to have an organization screaming at every other culture and every other ethnicity, Black Lives Matter, that helps you to find your identity, that makes you feel you are worthy. Really, your identity is in Christ, not in a particular system. Lord have mercy.
Tell myself that I'm beautiful, right? To affirm it to myself.
So is that a no about the KKK performing? You wouldn't support that?
Okay, first of all, let me get this straight. So you said the Black Panthers had people scared in Chicago, right? They had
You guys are not
people
answering my
scared to
question.
sell drugs in the
I
neighborhood.
just
They
answered
had
your
people
question, sir.
scared to
No, I would
prostitute
not be on
women
board with
in the
that.
hood. The Black Panthers they started the free meal program. They started WIC
WIC,
program,
yes.
which the government has
Black
started to take
Charter.
over, because they fed
Yes.
communities, right? And so when you have the KKK who started things like Halloween, where they dress up in masks and go firebomb houses, black houses, where they hang people from
Black
trees,
Wall.
have parties with black people hanging from trees like strange fruit, if you ever touch up on your black history. But you have these KKK terrorist organization groups that have tormented black people for years, African people for years, but they are not labeled as a terrorist group. So then you have a black group emerging from
So
the
is that
community
a no?
called Black Lives Matter,
Is that a
and
no?
now we have to be a terrorist group, and we're here to rebuild the community, to hit the capitalist white supremacist society right in its face and stop it and say, hey, this is not right.
Okay, so let me go back to the question. Is that a no for the KKK performing this year?
Only if you're on the cross.
I'm sorry?
Oh, she did not. No, she did not say that. She said only if you are on the cross. Oh Lord, that was a low blow.
Only if you're on the cross.
Oh, if I'm on the cross?
Yeah.
And then you'll be okay with it?
Yeah.
Why are you so mean?
I'm not mean.
Why would you want to put me on the cross because we disagree? Where's the
Because-
love in that?
Yeah.
Where's
Where's
the
your love
love
for
in
Beyonce
you?
for at
Where's
least
the love in that? Let me
inviting
ask you
this
this.
conversation?
I wanna
Where's
go-
your love for Trayvon Martin, who didn't even do anything?
Where's your love for
according
Ezel
to you,
Ford?
he was a
Let me ask you
criminal.
this.
Omar Obrego.
Hold on. You said that Black Lives Matters make black people feel worthy and beautiful?
No, I didn't say we make people feel. I said
Well,
it is a positive affirmation to ourselves.
You did say that, so you know.
They
It's-
affirm you?
Yes.
And what do they affirm about you?
It affirms my being and the positivity in my being and the purpose in my being.
That
And you
she
didn't
was
feel
strong.
that?
So you need a system to tell you this? That's not good. That's not good. We are depending on a system. And I wonder why now Candace Owen, the greatest lie ever sold, is exposing the reality of Black Lives Matter. Now we have to sit back and say, so this is a system we look to find self-confidence, self-affirmation, whatever it is we're looking for, when really we should be going to Jesus, who is the author and the finisher of our faith. We should go to God to be affirmed. When nobody else affirms you, God does. So why Do you need a particular system to do that for you? And this doesn't mean you can't voice your opinion, but the fact you have to trust in Black Lives Matter to do it, I think they took advantage of these vulnerabilities of black people. They exploited the situation and used it for their means. $80 million. Where's the money? Where's the money at? How is that affirming any black community? How is that helping us to be a better people? There we go.
Way prior to Black Lives Matter, you did not feel that way?
No.
Why not?
Because the way that society is set up, it makes me feel that as a woman, there are things that I shouldn't have. There's a specific way that I should act, and that because I'm black, my chances of everything is significantly lower.
So your parents did not make you feel worthy while raising you?
They told me I was beautiful.
And they
told me I was
you.
smart.
And you
They
didn't
told me
believe
I
them?
was important. But
Did
yes,
you
I
believe
believe them.
So
But
why do you need Black Lives Matter
because
to
the way that you are
affirm that?
treated and what you are told are two different things. My mom told me I was beautiful now and I was smart. But when I go into society, they don't see that beauty. They don't see that
Who don't
intellect.
see it?
Society. Just because I'm
Who
black.
are you referring to in society?
I'm referring to the structure.
Are you
the
talking
way
about
the whole
white
system
people,
is set
black
up.
people, and white people and others? Who
I
are
don't
you
think
talking
we're
about? Are you
spe-
talking about white people?
I'm not talking about a person.
Specifying any particular
I'm
not talking about a person.
But somebody has to be the system that you're referring
It's a
to.
thinking. See, we have to
Who are you
understand
referring
that
to?
it's not a people.
But who are
it's
you
a
re-
thinking.
And who is
That's
thinking?
I'm referring to the
dominating
government.
in a group
Who
of
is thinking
people.
this way?
The people who wrote our laws.
Who is that? Are you talking about white people, black people, Mexican, or them all?
White people.
This,
You talking about white people?
Mr. Peterson, if I
Peterson is just allowing them to just, they are exposing themselves. It's like they are making themselves look horribly bad because their argument cannot stand right now. But one of the things that I'm noticing right away is that there is this desperation to be affirmed by men, you know. So there is this trust in the system to do for me what I should be doing for myself, or what I should trust God to help me with. You know, that's the problem. That's the problem. And I think I'm gonna tell you one thing you should never do. You should never trust in men at the expense of trusting in God. Did you hear what I said? You can trust in men, but you don't do it to the expense where you almost depend on them for your survival. You know, your existence, your personhood has to go beyond humanity. Jeremiah 17 verse 5, cursed be the man that trusteth in men, maketh flesh his arm, whose heart departed from the Lord. Instead of trusting in men and be cursed, God says you can be blessed by putting your trust in the Lord, whose hope the Lord is. So these people, and like many of us, we put too much confidence in systems. We really do. We need to stop doing that. And don't get me wrong, a good system that's doing right by the hands of God is a blessing. But a lot of these systems we trusting into, Black Lives Matter, the government, like you trusting in men, they're gonna fail. They always do. And when they do fail, your heart breaks. You understand? So, and again, it is sad to watch that this is the mentality that we have as a culture. It is deadly.
Hold on a minute. Hold on. I'll come to you. You're talking about white people?
I gave you what you're looking for, huh?
No, are you talking about white people?
White people, huh?
I'm talking about anyone who.
What's wrong? You see, the thing is, this is where the real racists start to come out of them, because here you are talking about the system, the government, and you point out white people. Like, which white people you were talking about? Oh, you talking about the average white man that lives down the block? That's the guy who's trying to do you harm. I can understand those who in power, those who are abusing their systems. I can understand the elitist. I can understand there's a level of racism toward blacks, but they themselves don't just hate blacks. They hate all races. They even hate the white people that are not in the same financial position as they are. So yeah, guess what? We are in this melting pot together. We might as well learn to put our mind together and live.
Wants or feeds into white supremacy in this structure.
So you're talking
anybody,
about
whether they
whites
be
and
white,
blacks
black,
and
Asian,
others.
Latino, whoever,
Oh,
if you
okay.
agree with this white capitalist, white supremacist structure, then okay,
Okay.
that's for you. But
White Capitalist. So what would be the opposite of white capitalist? Socialist? Marxist? Does she know what she's talking about?
If you don't agree, because there's a variety of all the races who don't agree, as do agree.
Oh, okay. So I agree.
I have to say she's very intelligent, very articulate, though. Even though she's not making her stories are weak and the arguments are not making a lot of sense, but nevertheless, I like the fact she's bold with it. She's speaking her mind, right? I like that.
I wanted to say something. Go ahead.
Yes. I wanted to say that I don't think it's a people. It seems to be a majority of people that have this racist thinking that I must keep this race oppressed so that I can stay superior. Although, I mean, our history do show.
Who are you referring to now?
I'm telling you that it's a thinking that's in
And
society.
who's doing this thinking in
It's
society?
been the Caucasian race for
No, the white
ages.
race is holding you back.
No one's holding me back
The
because I
white
create
race
my
are
own
discriminating against you.
because of my race. Yes, it's sad.
And they have
Hold
set
on.
up
Where's
a
your proof
system
of
to
that?
where they don't have to discriminate, but they have a system that does it.
Where's my proof?
Yeah.
The fact that as a young black man growing up in this society, my parents had to tell me that I had to do things 4 times better than the Caucasian person just to survive in this country.
So your
But me
parents told you that?
Hold on. But me being a person that's objective and I can see both sides of the coin, I go into society, I do the same thing as my fellow classmates. Yet I realize that I do have to do more to get into society. The fact that before I go on the job interview, I have to figure out what I'm gonna do with my hair because my texture of hair is not what America deems job appropriate. So I have to go and cut my hair, although I believe that this is where my strength is. Because I am the only person on this earth that has this kind of hair that can have
Wow. You see what we're talking about here? Do you see the semantics and the confusion? The different syntax. I don't know what you would call that anymore. It's just, this is such a weak argument for racism. Your hair? Like, really? That's what you're worrying about? Like, who cares? I have to cut my hair to get a job. So what? I want to present myself in the best way possible, not because they're white. It's just because it's right. But nevertheless, people are weird.
hairstyle without doing
You believe your hair is your strength?
all of this is my strength.
Uh-oh.
I have strength in here that I can't.
Your hair is your strength. It reminds me of Samson for a little bit in the Bible, right? Samson's hair, you know. Be careful, Delilah is gonna trick you and get your hair cut off. And then you lose all your strength and put your eyes out. Your strength is not your hair, buddy. Your strength is God. You know, the Bible tells us that in Isaiah 26, the Bible tells us that we'll keep him in perfect peace. Oh, forgive me, Lord. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. In Isaiah 26 verses 3 and 4, the Bible says, "Thou wilt keep him in perfect peace, whose mind is stayed on thee, because he trusteth in thee. Trust ye in the Lord forever, for in the Lord Jehovah is everlasting strength." So your strength is not in your hair. Your strength is not in your physicality. Your strength is in God. The Lord is my rock and my fortress, my deliverer, my God, my strength, in whom I will trust, my buckler, the horn of my salvation, my high tower. Psalms 18 verse 2. For the man who believes in God, you don't have to trust to a system. Not even in your own personhood, your body. Your strength is in the Lord.
Even contain.
Like
and I
that.
think that is a reason why we have this issue with everything black people do. Is called a protest and outrage. Is because we are passionate people.
Let me know you're very angry people.
There you go. Thank you. It's not passionate. It's angry. Use the proper words. Yeah. Not all. Praise God. But many of us, we are just very angry people, and we need to actually admit to that. Okay. Even hip hop in its inception, although it was a party, a good way to express oneself, but it became a mean for black folks to express their anger. That's why you hear a lot of beefing in hip hop, a lot of shooting, a lot of, so it becomes a mean of one expressing their animosity against one another. So, and that's true. Yeah, not passionate, angry.
It's because we are passionate people.
No, you're very angry people.
Oh,
Would you include yourself?
No, I'm not angry.
I actually wanted to ask you, what is your nationality?
I was angry like you people at one point,
I'm not angry.
but I was able to overcome it, and I realized that I have been lied to. You guys, most black people are so angry. You're at a point now that no race like you.
Okay,
Not just the white race. Isn't that right? It's not just the white race. The
200
Hispanic,
years of racism.
the Hispanics don't like
60
you. The blacks
years
don't
of
like
Jim Crow. Constantly being told that we're less than, yet you go and get Botox and tanning salons and all this to look like us. You
and
perm
to
your hair,
address
you crochet your hair to get locks, but we're ugly. I'm just saying, we would have a reason to be
So
angry.
let me ask, how do you feel knowing that most races do not like black people now because they're fed up with your bullying, they're fed up with your complaining and blaming and doing all that. You're turning off most people. How do you feel about that, Andre?
I would have to disagree with you on that statement, seeing that the
No, I hear from them all the time.
Okay, hold on. Let me get my point across. You hear from them, but I see them, and I think actions are a lot better than words. When I see black and brown doing a march on Washington, that's race relations.
Well,
right there. That's
those
great.
radical, angry,
That's great.
uh,
When I see Asian people standing outside the White House marching with Black Lives Matter, yes. Yes. When I see people of other cultures going, you know what? See, this is what we have to do as a people. We have to wake up.
What do you want?
We gotta stop listening
What is
to
it
this
that you
rhetoric
want?
that's in the media.
Michelle, what do you people want?
What do I want?
Michelle,
When you say you people, what do you mean?
the complaining black people.
What do you people want? Good question. What do you want? And I love what Candace Owen did with her Black Lives Matter, wanting those things from us. They wanted your house, they wanted your money, they wanted you to stop getting these bills and no more cable TV. That money comes to us. Let us use your house for our own means. That's what we want. We want everything you have. We want you to surrender all to us. Oh man. Yeah, what do you people want? And again, the complaining is horrible. Even God hates it. Like God doesn't like when people complains, and I can only imagine. I don't like people complains. And my wife and children complains too much. I'm like, you need to stop. You need to be grateful. Oh my goodness. Now listen to this. Do all things without murmuring or disputing. So stop murmurings, stop complaining. So even in the Bible, we are told to do what we do without murmuring or disputing. Do everything without complaining or arguing, so that you may be blameless and innocent children of God without faults among a crooked and perverse generation, among whom you shine like stars in the world. So stop complaining so very much. This, like the nation of Israel, were known for complaining. Even God had to come to a point where he's like, enough is enough. I'm going to send some fiery serpents. You're going to spend 40 years in the wilderness. Your enemies are going to overcome you because they complain so much. We have so much more goods happening in this world. There are so many more goods happening, especially in these United States. If you live here, friends, you are privileged. As a black person, I don't care what skin color you are, you can make something with yourself here. There's no reason for you to be held back, unless you want to be held back, of course. But
tell the truth. The truth.
Okay, friends, I'm going to pause this video right here, and then there's going to be a part 2. I want you to follow me there as well. Make sure you like and subscribe, and also follow me to part 2 because we don't want to make this too long. A really good discussion. It's amazing to see how this one ends. So I'll see you in the next part.